Lesson 2.1c, the coordinate plane. So we're going to talk about what happens when you have an x-axis like this. We're looking down at the one on the right. So an x-axis that intersects with a y-axis. And on each one of those, they are a number line with positive and negative numbers. So it says the coordinate plane is used to locate points. The horizontal number line is the x-axis. The vertical is the y-axis. The intersection point is the origin. So the origin is right here where I'm putting a blue dot. It is labeled with an O because it's an origin, and it's where each number line has the 0. It's where each number line has the 0. That is the origin. Now, when you look at ordered pairs, there has to be, first of all, a parenthesis. Write this down. A parenthesis, an X value, comma, a Y value, and a parenthesis. If you write an ordered pair without parentheses, it's not an ordered pair. If you write an ordered pair without parentheses, you're going to get it marked wrong. Did everybody hear that? If you write an ordered pair without parentheses, it's going to be marked wrong. If you don't have parentheses, it's just two numbers that you have written down with a comma in between. An ordered pair has to be in parentheses. The X value comes first, then a comma, and the Y value comes second. That is the standard ordered pair. When you have two axes, so I'm taking the x-axis here and the y-axis here, it takes a plane and splits it into 4 different sections, and those sections are called quadrants. Now what I need for you to do in the upper right hand corner, I need you to put a letter I there. That's Roman numeral 1. Because up in the right hand corner, that is quadrant 1. And then it goes in the counterclockwise. It goes counterclockwise direction with the numbers. So upper right is 1. Upper left is 2. That's Roman numeral 2. Lower left is 3. Lower right is 4. So it's split into 4 quadrants, and it goes in counterclockwise direction in numbering. So 1, 2, 3, 4. You'll have to say what quadrant the points are located in. If it hits on an axis, then it's not in a quadrant. Then you need to say it's on the x-axis or it's on the y-axis, not what quadrant it's in. All right, now this is showing some examples right here. It says example 1, write the ordered pair that corresponds to point P, then state the quadrant in which point P is located. Well, we're talking about that point right there that I highlighted. You always start out at the origin, and from the origin right here, it shows that you move left 4 spaces, and then you move up 3 spaces to get to point P. So because we moved left, that is the negative value, and it would be -4, 3. Notice how they have a comma, a parenthesis, -4, comma, 3, close parenthesis. Then you look and see what quadrant it's in, and it falls in quadrant 2. So they have to say that I've got the ordered pair -4, 3 in quadrant 2. Next, it'll say graph the point M, and it says 0, -4. Well, you always start at the origin, since it says 0 first, that means you're not going to go left or right. You're going to stay right there on the y-axis. And then it says -4 for the y. That's why they go down here. When you're graphing a point, you put the dot, just like you were supposed to yesterday, and the capital letter, this one being M, that is associated with that point. So that is point M. So you draw a dot and label it. Don't just put a dot. We won't know what you mean for that to be. All right, let's look at some examples. So we're going to graph. First of all, it says write the ordered pair corresponding to each point graphed at the right. Then state the quadrant or axis on which each point is located. So number 1, point P. Does anybody want to try to tell me what the correct ordered pair is for point P? What's the correct ordered pair for point P? Dylan.
7 and 2.
Okay, so P is right there. What is the X value?
7.
No, it's
Or no,
here's
no, no,
origin.
2.
Here's 2, and then what's the Y value?
7.
No, not 7. It went 2 this way, and then how many down? All right, so as we look at this, let's just review that the x-axis has the 0 right here at the origin, and this side is all the positives, whereas this side is all the negatives. So that's the x-axis. The y-axis here, with this being the origin, everything above it is positive, everything below it is negative. When you are reading these, you always go and start out at the origin and count left or right how many steps you have to go to be lined up with that point. And then you go up or down to hit that point. So now, Dylan, we started at the origin, and to get to point P, we went 2 places right. Now, how do I get to the P at this point?
You need to go 3 down.
Need to go 3 down. So what number am I going to write in the ordered pair?
-3.
-3. So point P is at 2, -3. Now, I'm going to draw on here. Remember, the upper right-hand quadrant is 1, and then you go counterclockwise. 2, 3, 4. So, Dylan, what quadrant is point P in? Which section? Huh?
The 5th section. Or no, 4th section.
4th section. So you would go IV. That's 4 in Roman numerals. So we start. This splits the plane into 4 sections, 4 quadrants. So 1 is the upper right, and then you go counterclockwise. 2, 3, 4. All right, now let me erase all that off of there. Now we're going to do number 3, point R. What ordered pair is point R at, Mason?
1, the x-axis is 1, and then y is 3.
It goes right 1 and then up 3. So 1, 3. And what's the quadrant? 1. Okay, I think we better practice a couple of more of these. So let's look at Q. Who wants to give the ordered pair for Q? Liam.
It would be 3 down.
You always go left, right first.
Okay, so you go left. So you go 3 left.
3 left, so that would be -3, and then
You would go 2 down.
2 down, so -2. And what quadrant is that?
The 3rd.
The 3rd. Okay, now the 4th one is point S. Caden?
Oh, you go over on 0 and you go up twice, and it is located in quadrant number 1.
Okay, now hold on. So you're saying, you said the ordered pair was 0,
Yeah.
and then what?
Then go up 2.
Up 2. Now, is it in a quadrant? Is point S in one of those 4 sections?
No, it's in between. It's in between quadrant 1 and 2.
Okay, and what is it laying on that's really significant? What's it on?
It is on the y-axis.
So you actually say y-axis, okay? Good job. All right, any questions about that? Next, we're going to practice graphing a few of these. So for, it says graph and label. So we're going to do point A. Now, I'm going to tell you, every time you graph one of these, remember you're starting at the origin, 0, 0. And you look at the first number, it tells you whether to go left or right and how many steps. So that one says -1. That means I'm going to go left 1, and then after I go left 1, I look at that and it says +1. So that means up 1. That means my ordered pair would be right there. I went left 1, up 1, and I label it with a capital A. If I look at 7, 7 says 3, 2, and it's point C. So you always start back at the origin. I'm going to go right 3 and up 2 and label it with a point C. And then finally number 9, it says 1, -2. So you go back to the origin. You go right 1 and down 2. And that would be point E. I do want to do one more, and that's number 6. It says 0, -3. Where do I go with that one when it says 0, -3? Brennan?
You start with 0 and then you go down 3.
Yep, you just stay at the 0 and you go down 3 and put your point, and it's point B. Good job. All right, are there questions about this?